$1 million in business at the time. Couldn't pay their insurance, so Camelot closed their doors at 5 o'clock on a Friday. Leadfoot Express opened up Monday morning with $8.5 million more in business. So our industry should never, in my opinion, my limited knowledge of the world, should never be public. Too variable. Guess what? It snowed yesterday. Yeah. All right, it was traffic, so every driver was 4 hours late. There's no consistency. Here we are, a bunch of pig farmers, and now we're running $80 million publicly traded divisions within a public company. 38 Learjets over the course of the next hour would take off.
How do you price a jet network? Like, is it the same as pricing a truck network?
Hey, I'm Chris MacKrell, President and COO of Custom Courier Solutions, a last mile service provider across upstate New York, and you're watching Last2First podcast.
Story time with drop-off, the lab test that just couldn't wait. A hospital system needed a delivery fast. The patient was prepped, the doctors were waiting, and time was just not on their side. Enter drop-off. Drop-off showed up with the certified driver, temperature-controlled equipment, and live updates along the way. That wasn't just moving a package, it was saving a life. And that's the type of reliability that drop-off brings in 35+ markets across the US. Powered by smart technology, but always with people and drivers who care. Turn this story into your reality. Visit dropoff.com today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our next episode on the Last2First podcast, where we bring you the latest and the greatest happening in the final mile space and how this industry is moving from last to now first in today's and tomorrow's supply chain. So joining me today, we have another special guest. I know y'all hear me say it every time, but these guests are just that good. I'm sorry, we're bringing the right people in. Joining me today is a gentleman I've known for many years. He's been a mentor of mine. He's mentored many people's industry. He is looked up to by a lot of folks in the space. I'm very excited to have this conversation today. We're joined with Chris MacKrell, who is the president and COO of Custom Courier Solutions. He's also a past president of the CODA. He's a COD Hall of Famer. And because he had more time, he's the past president of the New York Messenger Courier Association. So he's got a lot of jobs. But Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. Appreciate it, too.
Yeah, glad you're here. Yeah. So we're sitting in Saratoga. One of my first memories of you was, I think I was brand new to the board, and we had our first board meeting up here. I think it's 2000, and has to be 11, 12.
Yeah, somewhere in that area. Mike Waltier is president.
Mike is the president, right? And we're at a bar here in Saratoga, and I'm fresh out of college, a few years removed from college, and you guys are drinking, and I'm gonna drink these guys under the table tonight, man. If they don't know, I'm not too far removed from my college days.
Yeah,
we're about 4 or 5 rounds in, and I'm tapping out, and y'all are just getting started. And I quickly realized what I was up against, and so you never have I tried to outdrink you guys since then.
Yeah, well, we have most of us have a lot of experience.
A lot of experience.
A lot of conventions. We spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, in this industry, you need a little vice every night to get you through.
Yes, and obviously being a native of Saratoga, I was, the 4 a.m. bar openings helped me keep going for the long term at night.
Yeah,
you gotta pace yourself.
Yeah. I had no idea my first time here, Saratoga. It's a pretty popping place.
It's a great place to live. A great place to come.
Yeah,
I travel over the country and over the last 30 years and tell people where I live in Saratoga, and they usually have 1 or 2 reactions. I've been there, I can't wait to get back, or it's on my bucket list.
Yeah, 100%. Opening day, we would come up for opening day.
Correct.
The racetrack, and there's no better experience than that.
Correct, yep. Yeah.
So let's start off just talking about Custom Courier Solutions. Just give me a sense, and audience a sense of kind of where do you guys operate? What do you do? Number of drivers, some sign and scale of the business today.
So Custom Courier, myself and I own it with an individual by the name of Dan Ayer. Yeah. He's based in Rochester. That's our corporate office. He does the back office. But we started the company in 2006. We prior to starting Custom, we worked for CD&L. Okay. Was based in Hackensack, New Jersey, a large public company in this space. The company merged with Velocity, another large company in the space. We took the opportunity to, when 2 companies come together, there's mayhem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we took an opportunity, and we initially started and became another individual who was an icon in the industry, an individual by the name of Rick McClellan. who I had a great friendship with. We became part of the Dynamics franchise program that was just being introduced.
Okay, I got to talk to you about that.
Yeah, so we were his first, their first major franchisee. So we had the franchise rights in all of New York, and the rights to sell the franchise throughout all of New England. What Dynamics brought to us was technology. We were for the franchise fees. We got access to their systems and technology.
Okay.
Well,
What year was this?
2006.
Okay. So I remember this. I want to, we're going out older here, but yes, it's fine. I remember when, this is, I don't know, I must have been a few years into our business back in New Orleans, and they had one of these guys come talk to us about the Dynamics kind of franchise model. Yeah. And it was very intriguing. And I started looking into the details of it. And what threw me off was they were going to get a percentage of your existing business.
Correct.
I understood the new business, they get a cut of that. That made sense. But like, you want existing, you want cut of the last 20 years what we've done?
Yeah.
I can never get my head around it, nor can my parents either.
Right. But that's all. What you just touched on is why the program ultimately failed.
Yeah.
So, but for us, we had $0 when we signed on the bottom line with Rick.
Made perfect sense.
Perfect sense. Until we started growing our own business
Until it did.
without their support, and all of a sudden, that went like this, and we said, "Wait a minute." So we were only a franchisee for about 3.5 years, 2.5 years, 3 years.
Okay.
Rick had moved on.
Yeah.
They had a new president. Again, another icon in the industry, Kathy Kaler, who was president of the U.S. operations, helped us extricate ourselves from the franchise program.
We've all heard the saying before, trust but verify. But in the last mile, when you're working with agents and master contractors, verification is manual, complex, and very rarely achieved. Enter GigSafe. GigSafe solved the problem that matters to you most. They've built a new network compliance tool that ties in master contractors, agents, and carriers so they can connect, validate, and authenticate their delivery and driver networks. With automated onboarding, live compliance tracking, and insurance verification, all happening in real time. No spreadsheets, no follow-ups, no more hoping that my partners are doing it right. Just one connected platform where visibility and control are at every layer of your operation. Turn your compliance into your competitive advantage. Visit gigsafe.com today.
Well, but it it really gave us our start, and one quick story about how we began in September of 2016. Did a little bit of work. Our big push where we really started was we took over all the choice business in the state of New York.
Wow.
And the only and Michael Katz, who owns owned Choice, I had known him. He, we'll give you the business, but you guys only been in business 6 months. I can't tell Dell and IBM that I'm moving everything to these guys who, Rick McClellan stepped in and told Mike Katz that if CCS fails, I will send as many people as I need to support your business.
Wow.
So with Rick's backing, we opened up 5 offices on the 1st of April, 2007, and we're off to the races.
No, wait, this is, so you did this under the franchise program?
Under the franchise program.
And
but as we were an independent company.
You were just getting started. And just for the audience, like the people that don't know Choice Logistics and how big they were, and especially in the vehicle.
Well, that one of the key industries in that time, and pretty much that industry is almost completely gone now, but critical parts.
Yeah.
So all these companies like Choice had contracts with Dell, all these major computer companies. They had the position parts because of service contracts close to wherever they had the mainframes or the servers in all these businesses. This was obviously years before the cloud.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If a server went down and you had 150 people sitting there staring at their blank screens,
That's a problem.
That was a problem.
Yeah.
So they were probably the dominant worldwide player in computer parts. Probably at our heyday, we probably had 250 to 275,000 computer parts in our buildings.
Wow. God. Now, so at the time, 07, when you do the franchise model, is is customs you broke away 2.5 years later. You said
Right.
that breakaway. That's now the resulting custom courier solutions.
No, we were Custom Courier.
You were
Grow with Custom Courier,
Oh,
a Dynamics franchise.
got it.
Yes.
That.
And again, ultimately our business started to grow from our own energies.
Mm-hmm.
And as you pointed out, they every dollar I sold, they wanted a percentage. I was like, wait a minute, guys, this is not really working.
What was in their conversation to you? What was their response to that? What was the logic they applied to that to you?
Because like any other franchise, their position was, well, you're growing on our name.
You're been of our brand.
Which really wasn't a factor because it wasn't like we were in Houston where dynamics trucks are around the corner everywhere you look. Yeah. But that was the standard franchise program. Yeah. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for us. Yeah. You're not going to be selling McDonald's hamburgers if you're not paying McDonald's franchise fees.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. A dog didn't hunt.
But didn't. And as you know, because this business business is personal, especially in this business, because people are providing, you're supporting their business with their deliveries or that. And back then, obviously in 2006, there was only it was critical parts, the banking industry, and just in that period of time, the pharmaceutical companies, the Cardinals and McKesson, were finally starting to outsource.
Yeah.
Right? Before that, they were all internal.
Yeah. So go back to today, CCS now. How many drivers, what's the service footprint that you operate in today?
So we have 5 facilities across New York. So Albany, Syracuse, Rochester, Buffalo, and Binghamton. We have, over the last, I guess we'll be 19 years old this September, we have morphed from a traditional courier company, small car, to a trucking company. So we now operate approximately 80, 90 straight trucks, 26-foot straight trucks. They're a combination of, we have a little bit of a hybrid model. Some of our facilities are employee. To our facility here in Albany is totally outsourced to an outside agent. We rent the building, it's our building, but he handles everything for us in this marketplace.
So cross-docking, warehousing.
Right, everything. He supplies the warehouse workers, he supplies the trucks, he supplies the drivers.
Wow.
We supply the customers in the building. And it's part of a lot of those decisions that we make, because obviously we're using the big equipment. If you bang up a Ford Fiesta versus bang up $150,000 straight truck, pretty big different stuff. So it's really more the business is more and more about managing risk.
Yeah. When you're looking at different markets, how do you determine which one you may use ICs yourself, which ones you may outsource to agents, which ones you may use employees in?
It's primarily a factor of density, business density. This area is pretty wide and diverse. We didn't really have enough money revenue to support our own. And we've had back and forth here, but so we bought this agent who has some other work of their own. So, our truck, his truck got our freight on and maybe some of his own freight. So it really helps. Where in Rochester, New York, which again is our corporate back office and everything, it's a very dense marketplace. The geographics are maybe 75, 100 miles from the cross dock.
Yeah.
Trucks go out. We use the trucks 2 times a day. So the wheels are turning.
Yeah.
It's really that's one of the things, as you mentioned, defending independent contractors versus employees in the right marketplace. If you have the density, employees are a much more economical option.
Yeah. And control.
Yeah. You can control them. But if you don't have the density, the IC is the way to go.
Yeah. I'm interested because we'll get deeper into this later, but obviously you've had extensive background in terms of advocating for the use of independent contractors in the industry. We'll come back to that later. But for someone that's operating, I'm assuming right now these different models are on the one tax ID, one FIN.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about separating them for legal purposes? Are you concerned about that?
We were audited a number of years ago at the model that we use today. We got a no change from the IRS.
Yeah.
because we have distinct processes and procedures between ICs and employees. And it's worked.
Yeah.
It's worked. Now in more recent, as you know, the industry's moved more and more away from the single vehicle IC. So in the larger trucks, we don't have a single vehicle IC. We're now using master contractors.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those master contractors are set up with SCI or Open Force or whatever. So they're really their own companies.
Yeah.
And that also now gives us a lot more protection
Yeah.
than 15 years ago, where you guys did, we did. Some guy shows up in a car or a truck and he signs a piece of paper and off he goes. You give him a package, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more sophisticated now.
There's a black side, there's a white side of the line, and there's a gray.
Big in the gray in the middle. We've all lived in that gray for a lot of years. Now you really can't. You got to make sure you're doing it right.
Yeah. All right, let's go. Take me to your origin story. I want to understand, how'd you get into the industry?
So graduated from college in 1982.
Okay.
This is a little before your time, but 1982 was a major recession.
Two years.
Well, it was a major recession.
Okay.
So no jobs. There literally thousands of people coming out of college with nowhere to go.
Wow.
So my wife, we lived in East Greenwich, which is about 35 miles south of here. That's where I went to high school and where my wife went to high school. Okay. And she knew somebody whose father worked for the company called Hudson Armored Car, and they were looking for a couple drivers. So I had a choice: paint houses again for the summer, or somebody's going to pay me $12 an hour to drive a car. I could do that. That sounds pretty easy. So that's how I started.
You have an armored car?
No, it was Courier. It was there. They had a Courier division.
Okay.
So my first route was every morning at 7:00, I would pick up 2 suitcases from a bank in downtown Albany. I would drive them to Cooperstown. I would put them in the vestibule of the bank, and I'd drive home. At 3:00 every afternoon, I would get back in the car, drive to Cooperstown, go down into the basement. In the basement, there was an older woman with an encoding machine.
Okay.
And if you ever look at a check, on the bottom, there's numbers. The bank is drawn on the dollar amounts, so she would be inputting that stuff into those checks. When she was done, she would hand them to me. I would drive them back to that bank in Albany.
Yeah.
And they would start processing.
So was all checks? Was any cash?
All checks, no cash.
Okay.
We only move checks. So I did that for a couple of months, then moved in to the office as a dispatcher, so on and so forth. Eventually was fired because they had too many tickets.
Too many speed?
Too many speeding tickets, because time was money, right? Yeah, time was money. And
to put my head on my insurance ears right now for that compass, because that's what underwriters hate. When you hear final mile, like 1 hour deliveries, there's speeding everywhere.
There's speeding everywhere. So was out of the industry for a short period of time, and then companies started up called Camelot Courier.
Okay.
They hired me on. First year and a half of that business, almost 2 years, operated out of my apartment. Drivers would come in every night, or they'd pick up their paperwork. I'd be on the phone. They'd pick up the baby. It was a real family. And eventually that business grew and grew.
Yeah.
Was with them for a long time, ended up being their VP of sales. That's when Rob Slack hired me.
Okay.
Went to work for Leadfoot.
Rest in peace, Rob Slack.
Yep. Yes.
Leadfoot. I don't know much of the history of Leadfoot, because when I met Rob, he'd already exited. But tell me about Leadfoot.
So Leadfoot was, they had 2 offices, one in Glens Falls and one in Albany. He had a partner who would, Leadfoot became fairly synonymous in the area because Leadfoot, Rob's partner, Fred Cole, would do the traffic reports every morning. He'd be out in his van driving around, telling, traffic in Albany, right? Oh, there's 3 cars on the road. Oh my God. So Rob hired me. They were doing about $1 million in business at the time. The company I had been working for 30 days later went back, or couldn't pay their insurance, so they closed their doors. So
Insurance has been a
problem for like 30 years ago, forever. So this was probably my first real crazy experience in the industry. So Camelot closed their doors at 5 o'clock on a Friday. Leadfoot Express opened up Monday morning with $8.5 million more in business. Explain that. We took all the customers, half the customers that Camelot was servicing became our customers over the weekend.
Because they shut down.
And it was the banking. Yeah. Checks had to move. So that put Leadfoot on the map.
Now, with Slack, I've been around Slack a couple of times. No, he's very strategic. Did he bring you in just to help get those?
Well, yes. I mean, he obviously was trying to compete with, and Rob would tell the story many times, because I'm trying to compete with this company, Camelot, going to all these banks and everything. They're like, no, we work with Chris MacKrell.
Yeah.
And he finally said, who is this guy? I got him get to work for me. Yeah, and the other story that he would tell money after he hired me, he said, whatever you do, when you meet my wife, please don't tell her how much I'm paying you. I'm like, well, what are you talking about? He goes, I'm paying you like 3 times more than I pay myself. She will kill me.
In the last mile world, we've all used technology that looks good, but doesn't get the job done. That's why different is different. Built by Courier pros with over 35 years of real-world operational experience. Sorting freight, dispatching drivers, missed scans. They built the technology platform that they always needed. You get lightning-fast dispatching and routing, a driver app that eliminates confusion and adds visibility. Back office automation and tools from on-demand to air freight, all in one place. Need proof? Their Courier business grew 300% in just 3 weeks without any new hires and managing 150 drivers. Ready for tech that gets it? Visit deliveredifferent.com and book your demo today.
But it paid off. So
paid off. He was a
Leadfoot grew. We grew. Ultimately, 2.5 years in. So in, I guess it was 95. I guess it is. And I'm a little fuzzy in the dates, but we became part. U.S. Delivery was formed. Leadfoot. 3 to 4 months after U.S. Delivery was formed, Rob made the decision to sell to U.S. Delivery.
Okay.
And, at that time, I think we're 25, 28 million, primarily doing all banking.
Just Leadfoot.
Just Leadfoot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in 4 years, we grew from 1 million to 28, 29 million.
All in this kind of...
All in New York State.
Wow.
All in New York State. Yeah.
You guys were killing it.
Yeah. And we became part of U.S. Delivery. And that, Rob hung around for another year or 2, I guess it was, maybe a little less. And then U.S. Delivery was bought by Corporate Express Office Supply. And Rob, in his contract when he sold, had the option of, if change of control, he could leave.
Yeah.
Which he decided to do. And as a result of that, the company, the management of Leadfoot, or U.S. Delivery Leadfoot in this area, they turned it over to me.
So you became the manager of the
whole operation.
Yeah.
So over time, they would buy more companies. We would roll them into our programs. So
how many years have you been in the industry at this point when you inherit? There was this large region for U.S. Delivery.
So it was probably 15 years, maybe.
So you've been
a bit.
Got it.
So ultimately, we were the New England region. Grew the business through acquisition and growth, primarily pharmaceutical and banking.
Okay.
We had 38 branches, 500 plus employees, all cars.
All employed.
Because through that process, they had bought United Delivery, which was Air Courier Dispatch, and I'm sure some of your dad certainly would know all these different names.
Yeah.
And it was as one of Errol Severino, another friend icon in the industry, would say to me, because he was a VP, I was New England, he was New York and New Jersey. Bobby Logan was Connecticut. Jay Scrolla was so. And we all reported to Jay Walvin.
It's like an all-star team.
And so the Jay Walvin's region was, 450, 500 million. Wow. Based in New York. Wow. Another individual there is Curtis Height, another long-term industry. And Errol would say to us, because we have meetings, said, there isn't a business school in the world or any amount of money that any one of us could have paid for the experience that we have received here in the last couple of years. Because here we are, as Mr. Slack would always call, here we are a bunch of pig farmers, and now we're running $100 million $80 million publicly traded divisions within a public company.
Okay, all right, I got a couple questions to put that. Yeah. So, one, I've been a part of small private companies.
Yeah.
I don't think I worked for a large company at the time they weren't public, but the rules change when you're private versus public. So just the day-to-day operations, the things you can do, can't do.
It was absolutely paid.
Yeah.
So our industry should never, in my opinion, my limited knowledge of the world, should never be public.
Why is that?
Too variable. Guess what? It snowed yesterday. And so everything changes. I mean, you're being from New Orleans, you didn't expect up here. Yeah. All right, it was traffic, so every driver was 4 hours late. There's no consistency. So in a public world, especially at one point in time, U.S. delivery was close to $900 million in revenue, and obviously they have a report quarterly. So we spent the majority of our time as managers reforecasting, explaining what happened last month with nobody. So what happened is nobody was really working on the business.
Yeah. So we're about piecing the investors.
It's just the investors, the banks, GE Capital, whoever was the backer of the paper. So people got disgruntled, and obviously as time went on, a lot of people that were there, their non-competes were running out. They were moving on.
Yeah.
Companies, people who had left, the original ownership group had left. Guess what? All of a sudden there's that company in New York started up again. Yeah. That was the original guys that sold. And so over time, it became for a guy like me who's more build it, don't run.
Right.
I like to build.
Yeah, you're visionary.
And eventually moved on to a different role there, took over the control of all the pharmaceutical accounts nationwide. I was the national sales guy for pharmaceuticals. So focused on the McKesson's and eventually moved from there to John McGranahan, who, full circle, was the owner of Camelot Courier. I worked for Velocity at the time. He was U.S. Delivery and changed to Velocity, running the healthcare division. John was working for CD&L, running their healthcare division. Called me up one day and said, you know what, this is goofy. This is crazy. I go to McKesson and take a distribution center in Alabama. You go to McKesson and I got one in Alabama, they give you one in Tennessee from us, all over nickels.
Yeah.
Said, let's get out of here. What do you say, we'll both quit and we'll go to work for AirNet. So we did.
What was AirNet?
AirNet was based in Columbus, had 138 aircraft, and they moved 98% of all canceled checks in America moved through the AirNet system.
I want to thank you for taking this ride on the Last2First journey with us. In 6 months, we've achieved over 200,000 views across all our platforms. We're humbled and thankful for your support. But I do have one small favor to ask. Take 5 seconds, hit the like button or subscribe. Just like your on-time performance metric, this one matters to us the most. It helps us attract better guests and bring you deeper content to help propel you on your Last2First journey. And if your brand aligns with our mission, reach out to us. We'd love to find ways to partner and work together. Now back to Last2First.
So these are the same things you explained before, except local delivery. They're flying them to processing center.
So we had operations in all major cities, or I think your father was our agent in New Orleans. A lot of other people around the country. Yeah. So people would go, that check that I was picking up 15 years earlier in Cooperstown, that check gets picked up, was still being picked up. And it would work its way through the system. It would be touched by 3 or 4 couriers. Ultimately would be put in what they call a cash letter, which is common checks go on a bank, merged together through, as the chain went up, more and more checks from more and more banks could merge together through the Federal Reserve System.
Yeah.
All those checks would be picked up by couriers, flown into Columbus, and we had a 100,000 square foot warehouse, I think 100 sorters. The stuff would come in.
Yeah.
They would read the labels because it was all manual. And if it was a bag going to the Fed in Jericho, going in the Jericho bin, if it was going to L.A., it'd go in the L.A. bin.
And the sort and seg it out.
And sort and seg it out.
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning, the main hub would release. We had, of the 138 aircraft, 38 of them were Learjets.
Oh.
So at 3 o'clock in the morning, it was, at the time, I was running sales for the organization and East Coast ground operations. Was, and still to this day would be, the single best sales tool anyone in logistics could ever have. We'd bring bankers out there, customers out there, because we were primarily in banking in the nuclear meds. Because at that point in time, they were only being produced in very limited quantities in very limited areas.
Yeah.
So we were flying that stuff all over the country. But you would bring them out there at 3 in the morning. They'd see the sort. There's your bag. It's when you, and we'd stand at the end of the runway or the tarmac, and the planes would start taking off at 90-second intervals.
Yeah. That'd be cool. See that.
And so it was really, and so 38 Learjets over the course of the next hour would take off.
And how do you price a jet network? Like, is it the same as pricing a truck network?
It's the same. You've cost.
Yeah. Understand the cost.
Hourly cost. There's, with Learjet has 2 pilots. It varies X fuel.
Yeah.
The cost of the jet, whether it's a lease or you bought it, X, Y, and Z. We had our own maintenance shops, just like you would have your, whether you're running a bunch of minivans or 38 aircraft. It was the same process. It's much more expensive, obviously.
Yeah. But this may be a stupid question, but is there IC issues with pilots?
So at that point in time, there was 2 really, and I may be a little out of my depth here, but because I wasn't really involved in the air end of AirNet, but from what I've learned and people that we talked to, that there was 2 ways back then. So this was to the 2000s, early 2000s to mid 2000s to become an airline pilot.
Okay.
There was the military, or AirNet, or there was a company out on the West Coast that was similar, but it was smaller. And that was also another thing was going on there. Southwest Airlines was starting to grow and big. So AirNet became a pipeline for Southwest Airlines pilots. Wow. So the pilots would get certain hours. They would start in the props.
Yeah.
And over the course of 3 or 4 years, get enough hours and eventually move to the right seat and then the left seat of a Learjet. And then after they had enough jet hours, they would then go to Southwest or maybe some of the other airlines.
Yeah.
But it was the Wild West.
Do you ever chance to ride on some of those planes?
Oh, yeah. I would fly all over. But you understand, they didn't have seats.
Yes. Empty.
It was a Learjet that was a 2. We had 2 guys who sit up front. So when you were going to get on the Learjet, you'd be there at Columbus, or our big office hub was Teterboro, New Jersey, on the East Coast. They would load up all the bags. Before they closed the door, you would climb in and lay on top of the checks.
He's lit.
That's what you do. That's how you get around.
Yeah. What's the saying? The Mile High Club?
Yeah.
You don't know you could join the Mile High Club.
No, it wouldn't be. Yeah. So I was with AirNet for 6 years.
Okay.
Eventually, the planes were full. I ran their sales organization. They were a public company.
Yeah.
Only did it. None of them think AirNet got to 200 million. So way too small to be a public company. But they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. It's all jets, no ground at all.
Well, we eventually doing more and more ground.
Okay.
And that industry changed like any industry. So 9/11 happens. AirNet had the last plane up, flying blood, from Washington to Boston, thinking that they were trying to move all the blood around and reposition it in case of another attack or whatever.
Right.
And we had the first plane up, first plane to be allowed to fly. Again, moving medical supplies. But that event, and this again, in my opinion, but that event, 9/11. Changed the trajectory of the banking industry because no checks moved.
Yeah.
For 5 days. So no money the money didn't move. So if you were Chase Manhattan in New York and you had $1 billion worth of checks drawn on Bank of America in LA, normally those checks would be there in 12 hours.
5 days.
5 days. And that whole industry lived on float.
Yeah.
So after that, finally the banks, there was the technology available before that, but Chemical Bank would meet with Manny Hanny and say, well, you change your software. Because it was all based on grayscale. I know you're more of a technology guy, so you made me understand some of this stuff. But so that really then, as a result of that, imaging and what we have today of all this they realized we are so vulnerable.
Yeah. So they had to. That's probably what pushed it all the way to the digital age we're in
Right.
now.
And it tying in the MCA or MTA at that time, I was the government affairs chair. We were approached by the TSA to become part of a program to TSA and Homeland and because those agencies were all formed, and they're like, we're vulnerable.
Yeah.
The whole thing could come down with somebody walking into a building in New York City with a Staples box.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? I mean,
all security aspects
has changed. Everything changed. Yeah. Everything changed after that. You in New York, if you were a courier or, you couldn't get into buildings, you couldn't get both, everything changed.
Just like I was proud of my best parenting move, but this past week I showed my kids there's a new Netflix documentary on how they caught Bin Laden.
Yes. Yeah.
It starts off with, chronicling the actual attack.
Right. Yeah.
And they're watching it. They say, well, how could these guys get on the plane past security with all the stuff? I'm like, there was no security.
There wasn't.
And nowadays we just, because we've gotten somewhat accustomed to it. I know some of the pain cultures there.
Right.
But it's necessary.
But I think most traveling people, assuming yourself and I, okay, when you park your car or walk in the terminal, you're out of control.
Yeah.
You follow the rules. You don't talk out of line. It's like you're online in kindergarten going to the lunchroom. Yeah. Look ahead.
Just eyes forward.
Walk straight.
Head down. Right.
No sudden movements. Yeah. So then eventually Al Van Ness, who was the chairman of CD&L, approached me. I left AirNet, went to work for CD&L to grow their grow their revenue.
Okay.
And 2 years later, they merged with Leadfoot Express, merged with Velocity, and CCS was born. We said, okay, let's try this on our own.
Yeah. So CCS was really your first venture on your own.
Correct. Yeah.
So after a career of probably how many years?
25, 30 years. Yep.
Which is rare. Most people start off, maybe join the bad, but you hadn't worked for other folks for many years. Right. Building up big organizations.
Right.
At some point, you're probably like, you know what? I could do this on my own.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. We took the opportunity of the two companies coming together. And that experience, I believe this, and I know Dan believes it as well, because he worked for CD&L as well. He was the regional vice president for CD&L, running all ground operations.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Okay. So we, from day one, ran the company like a public company. As you know, in this industry, and we talked about this briefly, is most people don't really understand the finances. They're looking at their numbers monthly. When they're losing money, they don't know it. When they're making money, so even today, we do weekly P&Ls by branch, by customer. We review them. We talk about them. So we have a total awareness of the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah. What is some, I think is a great point, and we did talk about this off camera about how important it is to look at it timely, because
timely is everything.
Cash flows on the line, driver pay, and just understand your operation. Like you're a month later, like it's so far removed. So you can't react to it. It's proactive. But what are the things you're looking at weekly outside just the basic P&L? And what are some of the indicators that say, hey, we're good, or we've
obviously settlement percentage, consistency of driver percentage. If a driver is getting paid 60% or $1,000 a week, all of a sudden he gets paid $1,500.
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, great. Where's the revenue?
Yeah, that's support.
Bring probably way too often they come back and say, well, somebody didn't show up, and we had to do this, we had to do that. Well, okay, what did we pay the other guy too? Oh yeah, you did. Well, so it's really, from the financial perspective, and we try to do this with limited success, I think, as anybody does. But, our industry is as good as your last delivery. Mm-hmm. You have to manage it that way, too. Yeah. You have to you know, the
Details.
You have the details.
Yeah, the details matter.
The details matter.
Yeah.
You know, especially as you get larger because the numbers can get big really fast.
Well, that's something to talk about. Profitability is something I like to talk about on the podcast. But before you what you said reminded me of something my dad would ingrain with me all the time. It would say, lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. Correct. You're going to about the excuses while somebody said the driver pay may be off. Well, the reality is you didn't plan. You didn't have a backup plan, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. Right? And so that stood up when you said that. I could hear myself say it in my ear. Yeah. No, correct. That's not my problem.
I mean, because that's really what our business is planning and execution.
That's it. Yeah.
As I like to say, we deliver boxes for a living.
Mm-hmm.
But those boxes require people and trucks or cars.
Yeah.
And all those things are variable. The box is the box.
Yeah.
Doesn't change. But all those other things are variable, and that's the tough part of the business.
Yeah.
Like any business that's so labor intensive.
Exactly. So from a profitability standpoint, because one of the things that I've noticed in my career and talking to people is that typically when you start to increase revenue, you're decreasing your net margin. Correct. It's just byproduct is the growth, the volume, the scale, and investment in the business. How have you tried to navigate that as you've grown CCS now, and based on your other experiences, to maintain a healthy margin?
We're in the schedule business, so the margins are low double digits at best, because it's the revenue is consistent, but the cost is consistent as well, right? So how we done it, and I wouldn't say it was necessarily a plan, but we've continued over the 18 years to move the business towards the next opportunity.
Talk more detail about that.
So, as I said, and when we started, our first customer was the critical parts business. Chase, our Choice, and then we did Flash, and with DHL, and UPS, and FedEx. They were all our customers. 5 years ago, we fired the last ones of them because the business was no longer a viable business.
Yeah.
There was not enough revenue. The cost was too high. There was no future. So that's what we do, myself and Dan. We look and say, okay, what's next? What are the opportunities 3 years, 5 years from now?
Yeah.
We did, from 2014, 14 to 2017, what was growing? Home delivery had come with gangbusters on. All of us thought this is the new check. This is the new pharma, whatever.
Yeah.
You needed warehouses. Now we had the warehouses because of the critical parts. Repurpose them. Repurpose that space.
You guys did a lot of white glove home delivery.
We did. We would do an average of 1,500 deliveries a week. The whole 9 yards. Two-man, white glove, assembly, everything.
Oh, my God.
It was a complete disaster.
I was going to ask you that, but you already answered it. 1,500 a week?
1,500 a week.
Oh, my God.
And what happened, because the biggest problem with that industry, as it was growing, there was no reverse logistics. So you would go out. One of the jokes we have was, Target or Home Depot would sell outdoor furniture in June.
Yeah.
And they had, these liberal return policies because they're trying to build the business. And we would deliver it, set it up, and we go back in September and pick it back up. Because they would call Target or Home Depot and go, you know what? I don't really like the color.
Yeah.
And we'd pick it back up.
For free.
Oh. And it would come back into our warehouse and sit there.
And it sits.
Because there was no money. They couldn't bring it back. It's too expensive to bring it back.
Yeah.
So
it's system they tell you can discard it.
Eventually,
but that's 60 days as you use found space.
So eventually, one of our big customers at that point in time was Wayfair. It was starting. They used our industry to grow that business. Now they do most of their stuff themselves with their own trucks. Which is similar, as you know, to Amazon and other people that do that now.
I had a Wayfair experience.
Yeah, right. They would come in every 6 months. A guy would start in Buffalo, and he would go through our warehouses, and he would give us to discard hundreds of thousands of dollars of retail value stuff. We were running tractor trailers 2 and 3 a week to an auction house.
Oh, yeah.
of theirs. They were just get rid of it.
I ran mine to my backyard. My patio set back in New Orleans was nice.
Oh yeah. Well,
Was
we everybody we knew had furniture. Well, a quick story: when my son was getting married, he rented a camp over in Lenox, Mass, a kids camp.
Okay.
The way they did, great idea. They ran this camp for 3 days, so everybody. It wasn't just going to be a 5-hour wedding.
Oh,
Everybody came for 3 days. But anyway, they had a big hall. And we walk in there on a Thursday. I'm like, okay, where's everybody going to sit? Oh, well, they'll bring in some, it was a kids camp. So they had chairs and something like that. Tell you what, I have 20 couches sitting in our warehouse. Went back, got 2 of our guys in trucks, loaded up the trucks with all these couches and chairs. We bought them all over, set them all up in this hall. So that's where the reception was. So everybody's sitting on couches from Wayfair and Home Depot and Nonstop and all these guys. And fortunately, knock on wood for me, when it was all done, the people on the camp was, what are you going to do with all this stuff? Yeah, I'll take it back home, throw it out. I don't know. He goes, well, how about we give you a couple $1,000s for it? I'm like, and I don't have to pack it up and take it down. So yeah. So, but that again, so back to my point of we always were trying to move. So in 2017, in 1 week, we fired 17 customers. All the home delivery done. We're done. We're out.
So, okay, but so I know this, it sounds good and easy talking about on this podcast, but making a decision at the time, it's got to be very scary because that's real revenue.
Real revenue.
Now, you may not be making the margin you wanted, but you got to figure out.
But it's real revenue, but the with truck damage, claims, all those things. Because, again, one of the things that we realized is, especially in those early years, you were delivering to someone who never got a delivery at home before. Mm-hmm. A truck of that size, because these are 26-foot straight trucks, were driving down streets that never tearing the roofs off, like breaking off the
grand,
you rolling it right, or knocking down trees or power lines, because the infrastructure, none of that stuff is now they put a lot of lines underground, right, new areas and stuff, but off driveways, trucking stuck in the mud. It was a classic example. Okay, we're billing $10 million or $5 million, and it's costing us $5 million and $10.
Yeah.
Moving deck chairs around. That's all it was.
Staying busy.
Staying busy.
Busy being broke.
Busy being broke.
Busy going broke.
And we, and a month, and this is why this industry, back to my point about public, okay, we're getting a great month, good revenue flow. Last 2 weeks of the month, guess what? We had 2 bridges.
Yeah.
The whole shot that, when you peel the back of that truck off, that's 25. Back then, it was just write a check for $25,000 because you're not turning it into insurance.
Yeah, we written 2 of those checks.
Yeah.
It's
brutal. We probably, in the course of that 5 years, probably wrote 60 of those checks.
It's wild. Yeah. I don't think people appreciate, understand how difficult that white glove home delivery business is. It's one of those things you can't be halfway pregnant kind of doing it.
No, you can't.
And then when you go all in, I mean, the smallest little thing can throw the whole month quarter off.
Yeah. So at that point in time, because of the Fair Play Act in the state of New York was new in 2014, which the Fair Play Act basically says it's a 10-point questionnaire in that if you're operating a vehicle 10,000 pounds or above, if you can't answer these questions correctly, you're first and foremost in the state of New York, if you're driving a commercial vehicle 10,000 pounds and above, the state assumes you are an employee. You have to answer these questions affirmatively to confirm that if you can't, they're an employee. If you can answer all 10 questions, then the person's an independent contractor.
But the onus on you to prove.
A lot of people jumped into it.
Yeah.
And it kills a lot of companies too.
It did.
And so we got out, and that was 2017, 18. Knock on wood. Who was coming on the scene? Amazon.
Took on Amazon.
Took on Amazon, not directly, for a company called JW Logistics.
I did that too.
Yep. We became their. They got the New York area. We would run. It was, as you know, Amazon was a 7-day-a-week operation. They would run 18 to 20 tractor trailers into our Rochester facility every night.
Wow.
They'd get there at 1 o'clock in the morning, last ones. We sorted all the freight on the straight trucks. Everything was delivered by 7 o'clock the next morning. It's across the state.
This was DDU?
DDU delivery. When originally they were doing DDU delivery.
First DDU, yeah.
Yeah. We never did the small we never did the small vehicles.
So then it came into the DSP.
We never did any of that. We only did. So for the next 5 years, we did JW Logistics. JW lost Amazon made some changes. And JW lost the account to XPO.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
XPO came to us.
Yeah, sure did.
We did it for XPO because Amazon built a DC in Buffalo, and XPO got the contract.
Okay.
XPO came to us. So we were, for about 5 years, we were running about 60 to 70 trucks for Amazon.
Okay.
Eventually, as you may recall, Amazon and XPO had a little spat.
Yeah, he'll have a little
Spat. So Amazon came directly to us.
Okay.
So we ran that contract for, I don't know, a year maybe.
Okay.
And as you also well know with Amazon, it's there one day, it's gone the next.
The greatest. I was telling something real side story. My Lyft driver taking me to the airport in Austin. He works for Amazon right now.
Yeah.
And so you just, you in his car and you start telling him what you do. And I didn't say what I did yet. And he's talking about Amazon and going on and what he does. He's like in operations and he works with Amazon, for Amazon, and manages the DSPs.
Okay.
And I gave him a quick history about the lovely relationship we all have in Amazon.
Yeah.
But and now Bezos, whoever's out there, don't come about looking, the camera's not there. Don't couldn't get me, but they are the biggest pimps.
Okay.
Of every industry I've ever seen.
They
Come in, they figure it out, and they just take everybody out.
Over my experience, you've seen companies like that have used our industry to their enrichment.
Yeah.
In the early days, again, and I'm sure your father and mom did GE. Mm-hmm. Everybody did work for GE. Mm-hmm. But guess what? GE never paid their bills.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, GE was Velocity U.S. Delivery's largest account. They fired him because they had a process. You have to invoice them 3 and 4 times. And they were hoping that you would either give up or lose that piece of paper that had the signature on it.
Yeah.
It was a game. And we used to say back when, that's the reason why they're the most profitable, biggest company in the world, because they don't pay anybody.
I do it. But it brings a point, like how before technology, like a lot of these companies, you have to produce the actual sign, little documents, scan it some kind of way, organize it, and get that over to them.
And it had to be the original.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it was
that in office.
I mean, back then, one of the things I coined is we really weren't. There was a period of time for probably 4 or 5 years. We weren't in the delivery business. We were in the business of selling signatures to our customers. Because if you didn't have that signature, you didn't get paid. You get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what we would tell, because that's how, it's the paperwork. Without that piece of paper, I can't pay. No, I don't get paid. You don't get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
I want to talk about one other thing, because you talk about, you've been able to kind of navigate changes in verticals, different customer segments. Two-part question. How do you identify the next wave, the next vertical, the next kind of area you want to chase? And when you do identify it, how do you strategically go about trying to execute and implement it, whatever solution it is for that?
We will see it's listening and talking to people, whether it's the CLDA, the MCA, the ECA, interacting with people around the country, because obviously this is upstate New York. The trends don't start here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Trucking, now, as I said, now we're trucking, and, probably conversations with Mark Cossack or people that were, wait a minute, all you run is trucks? Well, what do you do with them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that stuff going on back here?
Yeah.
Again, he's more on demand, but it starts that going.
Yep.
Recognizing that, so now we do automotive, we do agricultural, we do industrial supply, food. all this stuff comes into us every night. We deliver it every pipe. We have a huge unattended night network.
Oh, really?
So we get freight into all of our buildings between 10 and some of the last stuff comes in 1:30.
Okay.
We sort it. Some of it we move around internal line halls and stuff like that. By 3 or 4 o'clock, 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning, all the trucks go out.
Yeah.
And everything is delivered before 8 a.m.
Wow. So most of your work is done by the time the sun comes up.
Provided the sun comes up. Right. That's that one verse.
Yeah. That's
So then that week and that's obviously, started with Amazon, the DDU business, FedEx, Smart Post, all those guys. So as that DDU business started to wane away, FedEx merged their operation into their ground, and all of a sudden, overnight, 200 million delivery just disappeared.
Yeah.
With FedEx. I mean, that was the mainstay for a lot of companies, FedEx, Smart Post.
Yeah, and a lot of companies have suffered and gone out of business.
Right. So we moved that. Then we moved into the automotive and industrial supply, agricultural, using those same trucks, same theory.
Yeah.
Now it's just B2B commercial. And then during the day, we take those same assets and we've developed what we call a variable freight system, which is a modified LTL.
Yeah.
So we have contract customers that are bringing us freight, medical, and curbside. We've moved now in the last year and a half. We still we're doing some home delivery, limited. We're backing more, but we moved into the home delivery, big and bulky.
Okay, so you got back into.
So yeah, but big and bulky means you pull up, you lower the lift gate, you open the door, and how it goes. That true LTL, right?
Yeah. You don't have to go inside.
You're not going inside. Maybe you're bringing a little, some of the drivers will bring it up the driveway. Fresh show, single man driver, in and out.
Yeah. So you've learned how to do that.
Well, you've learned where you can do it and make money.
Yeah.
Because the risks are, you still have the risks of the bridges and all the other factors, but the risk of damage to the home goes away.
To your point, when we were doing Wayfair, lost a bunch of money in 6 months and killed that. But then we've realized that we like doing mattress deliveries. So we have to deal with the home shopping network.
Right.
They pay well. It's hard to damage a mattress.
Yes. Yeah. And we at one point, we were digging the mattresses.
Yeah.
At one point in time, we would have an average of 2,000 mattresses. You'd go in, but the challenge, what we learned with that was, again, warehouse space, because you were working for Sealy because mattresses were so cheap to make. Okay, we were delivering a mattress on a Tuesday, and the customer, and it didn't get delivered for whatever reason. The customer would call and say, "The mattress was supposed to be here, I didn't get it." They would just ship another.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I'm sure it's like all of a sudden you got 3 mattresses for the same freaking.
That's the problem. Yeah,
that's the problem. And then what ultimately killed us there was the disposal.
Yeah.
It became you go to a branch, and on the back would be 200 mattresses and stacked up, and they're soaking wet.
And
because it's been snowing for 3 days.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say sometimes you get these mattresses from some people's homes, and it's like you were sleeping on that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Yeah. So really, it's just news to CCS. We don't have a sales force.
I never have.
Never have. We've had at one point in time we had one sales guy who we bought over from CD now, but we haven't had and we don't have local customers.
You have no local customers.
No local customers.
So talk about that for a second, because I've worked for companies. I've been around companies where they really believe in having sales teams.
Right.
In my experience, I found most success probably like you have, like that relationship-based selling. Yeah. You have somebody have relationships and you kind of navigate the scene. What you've been a part of both, something.
I've run large sales organizations. And
what have you found to be most successful? I mean, obviously you're doing it the one way.
A relative, most successful either the owner or someone who really understands the business. When I would talk to a first customer or a customer now, I would, understand you're using Bob's delivery. Give me your ugly sister. Give me your toughest delivery. Let me have that. And because I knew the business or knew capabilities, I was able to say yes on the spot. Okay, yeah, we need to have a delivery to Plattsburgh by noon every day. The sales guy didn't, he's got to come back to operations. He's got to do, so you have to do because we're problem solvers, right?
Yes.
And that trust is built by solving problems. So if you have a sale, this is my, nothing derogatory for salespeople, but because there's a lot of great ones out there. But if you got to tell the guy, yeah, okay, let me get back to you.
Yeah.
Some credibility starts to weigh away a little bit. Certainly on that first initial process of you're starting to get to know the person.
Yeah. I've said this several times. I think salespeople have truly had operations experience, that's worked in it.
Right.
That when you're talking, like, you can just picture the movement. You probably do that when you're talking.
Yes.
You're picturing all these.
Okay, what we're gonna do is it's gonna be on this. I know I have 2 spaces on that truck.
Yeah.
So you can say, when they ask, can you can say yes.
Or you can say no, or here's a better way to do it.
Right. Correct. Let me help you do this better.
Yeah.
With Rob's unfortunate, untimely passing, he's been a big part of my life, and obviously reflecting, as many of us have over the last couple of weeks, of what impact he's had on us individually, on the industry, on our group of people.
Yeah.
And, very candidly say, I think just about every significant move in my career had somehow been traced back to Rob, being a part with Rob.
Yeah.
Obviously, that initial phone call, please come to work for me. They made possibly negative, positive decisions. Rob's decision to separate from U.S. Delivery. Opened it. All of a sudden, the guys in Texas knew who I was. I mean, not that they didn't know, but all of a sudden, they turned to me and said, "You want help, or would you like to try this on your own? Go back to Texas."
Yeah.
Right?
I got it.
Right?
Yeah.
Rob was the first one to bring me to an MCA conference. Got to know people. I got on the board when I was at AirNet because Guy King got elected president of ACA. He couldn't be a president and be on the board, so Rob's convinced the board to allow me to become a board member. He convinced Phyllis Applebaum that I would maybe make a good government affairs guy.
Yeah.
So, and as lo and behold, 15 years later, I'm still the government affairs director.
Yeah.
Because Rob said, right? When CCS started, he was with SEI.
Yeah.
The amount of support that he gave us was, starting up a new business. Okay, cash flow.
Yeah.
He would, Chris, don't worry about it. We'll take care of the guys.
Yeah.
Can he get us paid 2 weeks from now or a week from now? His support and Russ Reardon's support with that was phenomenal.
Yeah, no. It was so good. I mean, just hearing so many stories about him. I had my own. We were a month after we signed a letter from 10 to set our business. We had with the Department of Labor audit.
Right.
First person that calls Rob.
Yep.
And he guided us through that, successfully got out the audit, and now we sold our business. But true icon, legend for the industry, certainly the association. But forever will be missed, and big shoes that probably never will be filled.
Yeah. And, you talk about Don't Tell My Wife Stables and horse racing. Again, I was starting Custom Courier when they were starting up, so I wasn't part of the initial group. But Rob always wanted to make sure that I felt included.
Yeah.
So if you heard me tell the story, he printed up the business cards for me.
Yeah.
To make sure I felt part of it. And then, obviously, when I was able to get involved, the experience that we've had there with 2 horses in the Kentucky Derby and all the
the slacker tracker.
The slacker tracker. All, I guess probably lots of people can say this, but with people they interact with. But I think in Rob's case, with many of us, and can sit back and say, this happened with Rob as a result of Rob, or because of Rob, or because of his support, like you said.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't there, maybe we would end up going right or left.
Yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, you can't.
One thing we know is you being a government affairs director led you to testifying in 2016 at the U.S. Senate.
Correct.
About
2013. 2013. Yeah.
What was that experience? And
it was surreal, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I sat at. I was testifying. It was a subcommittee. There was 4 or 5 senators there. Obviously, it wasn't a big full committee, but it was me, and in support of independent contractors, and 4 people that were vehemently against independent contractors.
Yeah.
Because the committee was called by a senator from Massachusetts that didn't believe in the independent contractor. Mm-hmm. So, again, showing up there, it's been there obviously many times for meetings and stuff like that, but, lobbying days and stuff. But, to go in there, to sit in this chamber, and
the lights are on.
Lights are on, even today, people come up and they say, "Hey, I looked up your name. You this is 10 plus years later.
Yeah.
You testified before the Senate? Really? I watched your testimony the other day."
Yeah.
And it was probably, we were there for 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours. Mm-hmm. You made a opening statement like we've all seen many times, and then you got peppered with questions.
Yeah.
The main focus of that was, look at people in America, our industry, a lot of other industries, a lot of the companies that exist today were started by independent contractors.
That's true.
I think, if I recall, one of the things I mentioned was, UPS, the largest transportation company in the world, or at least at that point in time, was started by 2 independent contractors in Seattle. 2 guys in a truck.
You're right. You're right.
In that, they were ICs.
The post office is a lot bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So, the CLDA, MCA's success in defending the ability of companies to use independent contractors can really be summed up in one thing: nothing has happened.
Which may not always be bad.
But no, I mean, nothing has happened because nothing bad has happened.
Oh, yes.
Right. My point being is that every bill that they've tried to push through never got through.
Yes.
Every year there's noise. Nothing has happened.
That is true.
We haven't been successful in getting our legislation across, but we have prevented piles and piles of bad stuff
100%.
happening.
Yeah.
That's, it seems a little counterintuitive, but, when people ask, because I know, as you know, CLDA had some struggles, should we be hiring an outside lobby firm? Should we this? We tried that, tried this.
Yeah.
Well, what do? They make sure that nothing happens.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's our success is in the 25 years that the CLDA, MCA decided from that meeting in New York 20 years ago, where we said we have to take our heads out of the sand and we got to start defending ourselves.
Yeah.
Nothing bad has happened since.
I think it's a message. More people, if you listen to this, you need to understand why it's so valuable to protect your business, the motto, and you should put your name in the hat and support this. I mean, this is something that's critical to the success of the industry. The wheels of commerce ride a lot on our backs, and I say our backs, but our drivers, our independent contractor drivers, our businesses.
Yep.
And so it's something that I really advocate for people to get involved and to support. Chris, we're going to wrap up here, but I want to thank you for being on the podcast.
They're great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and that was an excellent conversation. A lot of great stories, a lot of great insights. But thank you for your leadership in this industry. Over your career, you've certainly had a lot of success. And I think that's mark has been left on many people in the space. So thank you for that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. I'm Jason Burns. That's Chris MacKrell. And we're out. Next time.